Now, the time has come for headbangers and rockers to come together as one.
I would love to hear them.
Sirius XM's Faction Talk gives you Trunk Nation.
There's a lot of grunting and interesting sounds.
With Eddie Trunk.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Trunk Nation. Faction Talk, Sirius XM Channel 103, or the Sirius XM app. It is a Wednesday edition of the show. It is good to have you on board. Lots going on as usual. Today we are going to talk early Iron Maiden. Joining me in the second hour of the show today in studio with me here in Vegas will be Wes Orshoski. Wes is the director of the new Paul Di'Anno documentary. He also did the Lemmy doc. And Wes will be here to tell us about it. I saw a post from John Bush, who was just on this show the other day. He saw the movie. He saw it, I guess, well, John lives in L.A., so I'm assuming he saw it in L.A. So I guess it's in some theaters. And we'll get all the information on the movie from Wes. If you've seen the movie and you want to talk to Wes, you can call in. If you haven't seen the movie but want to ask questions about Di'Anno, you can call in. Wes spent a good amount of time, if you've seen the film, on the road with Di'Anno and had complete access to Paul and everything he was going through at the end of his life. So I haven't seen Wes in a long time, but he'll be here. He's in Vegas. He's coming by, and he will be here to share some insights with us about this documentary, which is called Di'Anno, Iron Maiden's Lost Singer. But it's real good. I've seen the film. So Wes is here early. So instead of letting him wait, we're going to get right to him and welcome him to the show. Good to see you, Wes.
Honored to be here.
Yeah, Wes is actually a listener of the show, too, which I appreciate. He's wearing a very, very cool Ace Frehley shirt, which I appreciate as well. What are you doing in Vegas?
Well, I'm here for you, and I'm going to see No Doubt tonight.
Oh, so have you been to the Sphere yet?
No.
Wow.
I regret not going to the U2 shows or one of the Dead shows, but I'd kill for a ticket for the Metallica, show.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
I'm talking to a friend of mine right now. He's got some money, and I said, because I went to No Doubt the other night.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I sat in a suite. Somebody was nice enough to invite me. I'm not a big No Doubt fan. I went for the experience.
Sure.
But it's a cool show. And it's really cool sitting in a suite up there, and it was catered and everything. So my buddy, he likes to spend money and have good times. And I said to him, hey, I think you should buy a suite for Metallica.
Absolutely.
I started putting it in his ear. He goes, why don't I think about that? I go, yeah, let me get you a connection. So I connected him with the guy. So I'm like, yeah, maybe go get a big party in a suite and go see Metallica.
Oh, man.
But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I definitely am looking forward to those shows because that'll be the first heavy rock show in there.
Yeah, it broke my heart when Bruce Dickinson said, I think on this show, that he wasn't interested. And because that was the one that I had in mind. Obviously, we knew Metallica was going to do it, you know?
Yeah. Well, when you go in there tonight and you see No Doubt, or if you see anything in there, you do understand why some artists are all in on it and love the idea and others are not. Because the people who are not, the thing about it, what they say is that the venue's bigger than the band. Because most people, there's 18,000 people, it's a big venue. Most people are spending their time looking at the images and the projections on the wall. And, oh, yeah, by the way, there's an actual band down there playing. So it does kind of overshadow.
Right.
But if the band, I don't know, I understand them saying that, but it's just a different experience. It really is.
That's so interesting. The venue is the star of the show.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. And for me, again, I'm just being honest, I don't hate No Doubt or anything. I just, I like heavy music. It's not my genre. But that I wouldn't have gone to see No Doubt if it wasn't in the Sphere, even on a free ticket.
Now you've seen the Eagles, No Doubt, U2.
Yeah.
You didn't see the Dead.
That's a real stretch for me.
Okay, all right.
I might have trouble getting through that one. I'm just because I'm not a Dead guy at all.
You didn't go to Fish, did you?
No, another one that would be hard.
I hear they won the kind of graphics war so far.
Yeah.
I feel like what they did was the most impressive, probably, but I don't know.
Well, I heard the most impressive in terms of production in there was actually an EDM show.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they did it on New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
And I saw people posting images of it, and they said it was just insane.
Oh, God. I bet. Yeah.
And when that place opened, I thought it would become like, again, I could never sit through EDM personally.
Me neither, yeah.
But when it opened, I was like, my God, I can't even imagine what they could do in there with EDM, with the images and the sound.
1,000%.
Yeah.
The only thing is, like, there's so many seats, though. EDM is about dancing, right? And moving. It's, I wonder if it's a weird thing for all the people who are sitting in the seats.
Well, they have an open floor.
Right.
And No Doubt does do an open floor.
Cool.
So the U2 and U2 and No Doubt were GA open floor. The Eagles were seated, older audience, they want to sit.
Makes sense, of course, yeah.
So they put temporary chairs down. I was on the floor for U2 and the Eagles. I was in the suite the other night for No Doubt.
So awesome.
And the thing about it is, are you on the floor tonight?
No, I actually Googled where's the best place to go to sit. So Google told me the 300 section.
Yes.
So that's I got a nice aisle seat in the 300 section.
Kind of in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going for the show.
Yeah. Well, that's where you want to be, because you want to be 300s, like somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And that's where you want to be, because it's such a huge scope that you want to take in that if you're too close, you can't take it all in.
Your neck starts to hurt.
Yeah, you just too much. It's like there's one guy sitting next to me at No Doubt the other day. I don't know who he was, but he was in the suite I was in, and he was just sitting there, and he was like, I don't know how to explain it. He was like mesmerized or something. He was like, and he just looks at me, and he didn't know me at all. He just turns around and looks at me and goes, I can't process this. Like I thought he was on a bad trip or something. I'm like, what's happening, dude?
Hopefully I'm going to text you that later.
Yeah, goes, I can't but he didn't look like he was happy about it. It looked like he was like having sensory overload. He's like, I can't process this.
I think there's a lot of people who won't go to the Sphere because of that, because they have issues with like heights and kind of strobes and things like that.
Yeah, well, it's also, as you'll find out, because you're in the reserved seats, it's really steep.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's really steep. Like I took my parents there a year or so ago, because they've done movies in there.
Right.
And they initially started a movie that was just made for the Sphere that Darren Aronofsky did,
right,
called Postcards from Earth. I don't think they're still showing it.
Right.
But it was wild, and I took my parents to just have the experience of going. And they're in their 80s, and the scope, the slant on the stairs is really sharp. It's really steep. So I was keeping an eye on them, and then I took my daughter to see Wizard of Oz there. Same deal. I mean, she's obviously way younger, but still, Wizard of Oz pulls people from little kids to 90-year-olds.
Sure.
And watching them navigate the aisles, I'm like, oh man, this is a little scary here.
Yeah, kind of stressful for you bringing your family there.
Yeah. But it's an amazing experience. When you go in and go through the lobby and everything, I feel like I'm going into Space Mountain.
Oh, that's so
It's
cool.
that kind of vibe.
Wow, can't wait.
And if you can, you can walk in through the Venetian. So if you're at the wing, you can walk right through Venetian.
Yeah, and I think there's like a No Doubt exhibit in there. There's like all this memorabilia and all these old posters from like Golden Voice in LA and things like that.
Yeah. So what they do is they did it for the Eagles as well. As you're going in through Venetian, they have a big room set up, and you can go through there, and basically what it really is a giant elaborate merch store.
Oh, okay.
But they have to pull more people in.
Right.
They'll have like for the Eagles, they had like a replica of the Troubadour and like their gold records and all that stuff. So you can just go in there and look around too. But
very, very Instagrammable, I'm guessing.
Yeah. You're gonna have a great time. And You should try to see Wizard of Oz if you can.
I was thinking about that. I completely forgot about it until I was flying. I took the cab in from the airport, and I saw the big shoes, and I saw the ads for it. I was like, oh my God, I completely forgot that was happening. So maybe I'll try to do that tomorrow before I leave. You know?
It's pretty amazing what they did in the restoration of that film. And it's that is actually the biggest money-making thing in Vegas right now.
Oh God.
Because all they got, there's no band, there's no backline. Just hit play 3-4 times a day, and they're charging like $100, $150 a ticket for the movie.
My God.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I wonder if the families of any of those actors get any of that money.
I don't know. You would hope. I mean, I don't know the nature of that deal as far as like, when they sold it or whatever they did. I don't know how that works, but
is Scarecrow's grandchild getting a check?
Somebody
I hope
should.
So.
You're right. Exactly. It's just like you're wearing an Ace Frehley shirt right now. Ace's guitar just sold for $500,000.
Dude, I heard you talking about that, and I was a little bit disappointed in that number. I know it's just one.
You thought it should have been more?
Yeah. I mean,
really?
like I saw the social media ads for that auction, and I was like, oh my God, a 1970, I think it was a 1970s.
75, 76.
Yeah. I mean, with all the Kiss nuts out there and all the money they have, I almost thought it could have easily gone for $1 million. But I guess it wasn't, it's one of maybe 100 or something. I don't know. It's not like Blackie or something.
Well, do you play guitar?
I have a guitar. I would not call myself a guitar player.
Okay, but you know about playing guitar. See, because I don't play, so I don't have any idea. But I've talked to friends of mine who are guitar players. It was a 76 Les Paul, whatever. That, like I said to them, I said, if you were to go to a guitar shop and buy that guitar, and it wasn't Ace's, it was just that exact guitar, how much would it cost? And they said probably about 10 grand, 8 grand, 7 grand, something like that. Oh,
that's it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So because it was Ace's and what he used it for, there's the extra $490,000.
Yeah.
Because it's not a rare guitar, overly rare guitar anyway, but what I didn't understand, and I'm as big of a Kiss nerd as you'll find, I don't understand why that guitar was so iconic, because there were 2 or 3 others that sold for like 40, 50 grand. Which were like, oh, it's the guitar he played on this or the why that one? Everyone kept saying it was the Budokan guitar just because he played at Budokan. I don't understand why that was worth $500,000 and the others were worth $50,000. I don't know the collector's world.
Yeah, I've always loved hearing you tell the story about the giant Ace poster at the Garden. Yeah, like I wonder what guitar he's using in that image and like where that guitar is now. Is that at a Hard Rock somewhere, or like that is a Ace guitar with an interesting kind of history, that you could tie to,
Well, that was one of the smoking guitars, because it was smoking in the photo.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. You're from New York, aren't you?
No, I'm from Cleveland.
Oh, okay. You live in New York, though, right?
Yeah, for 26 years now.
That's right. I thought you were a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the move, man. Going to Madison Square Garden, meet under the picture of Ace. As a matter of fact, I just saw somebody post a photo. We never took a photo underneath when we were kids, but I saw many people did, and I just saw somebody post an old photo of them under the photo like this.
Wouldn't that be amazing to have a photo of you and like Scotty and Frank Bello underneath that?
We all did it, man. Yeah. I mean, any of those guys, anybody that grew up in that area, when you went to Madison Square Garden, and you needed a meeting place, there were no cell phones or anything before you walked in, you wanted to get together, meet under the Ace picture.
I bet you Mark Weiss has a photo of it at least. Maybe not of himself in it or another person, but I bet you he has a photo of it.
You're probably right. He might. There are photos of it. I mean, I've seen photos of the photo. Because many people met under it. I just saw one circulating online the other day. It brought back so many memories, and I remember it was up there for a number of years. And then one year we went to see somebody at the Garden. It was like, meet under the Ace picture. We'll see you there at 7:00. And we get there, and the Ace picture was down, and it was replaced by Billy Joel at a piano. Oh, and we were like,
sacrilege.
Like, look, of course, now at 61, I acknowledge Billy Joel's an iconic New York musician. But I'm like, at that time as kids, we're like, fuck this, we're going to rip this shit down.
Hell yeah.
Out of our mind.
I mean, honestly, dude, I would love to see them bring that back. Wouldn't that be cool if they started doing that again?
Yeah.
But I mean, it would probably kind of be lame. It would probably be Harry Styles, and it would be, all that kind of stuff. You're not going to get Ace Frehley again.
Well, the idea is they were New York musicians.
Centric artists, right? Okay.
So I don't know. Has anybody come out in New York City in the recent...
Strokes?
They're not big enough for that, though.
Maybe not.
Because I don't think they've ever headlined the Garden.
They have. I've seen them there.
They have?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so maybe they would be.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other New York City.
I just think about the CBGB's bands. You could put Joey. You could put Joey Ramone. Why not just put Kiss though back on there? Why not put Gene in his tongue?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because now they would sell it to Samsung or something for $1 million for advertising space.
Yeah, and it would be digital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would be rotating digital and what have you. Yeah. So anyway, man, good to see you. I'm glad you came by, and I got to tell you, as I texted you, the documentary is phenomenal. Congratulations, man.
Thank you so much, man. I can't thank you enough for everything that you said. I was knocked out by it.
Well,
yeah.
For those that just joined us and haven't heard me talking about this or didn't hear earlier in the show, Wes is the director of the documentary that he did on Paul Di'Anno. It's called Di'Anno, Iron Maiden's Forgotten Singer, right?
Iron Maiden's Lost Singer.
Iron Maiden's Lost Singer. And I know that you worked on this for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
When did you start on this?
I'm almost a little embarrassed to say 2017, 9 years ago. That's when I started shooting.
You started shooting in 17.
Yeah. And there was just so many delays. Then COVID happened. And in the middle of COVID, that's when I really started to find the story. I was blessed with what happened during COVID. I don't know if you want me to recap or whatever. But
sure. So what did the stop down give you an opportunity to kind of reassess where you're going to go with it?
Well, here's what happened. Like, Matt Green at Cleopatra Records called me and asked me if I wanted to make this film. And I said, yeah. And so I got on the phone with Paul. That's the first time we ever spoke. And this is in 2017. And Paul made it seem like in about 4 or 5 weeks, he was going to be on his feet again, and that he just needed a minor operation.
Because even then he was dealing with health stuff?
He had been in a wheelchair at that point for almost a decade.
In 17?
Yeah. I think it was 7+ years. And so I flew over, and the first time I ever met him, you can actually see the moment in the film. It's the drop-off area of the Salisbury District Hospital near Stonehenge in England. And within an hour, I had spoken to, I was filming Paul speaking with his doctor, and the doctor said at one point, you're going to need 2 knees replaced, and you could lose a leg, and you could even die on the operating table. And not a huge likelihood, but he needed to tell him that. So it was kind of an awkward moment. And I was like, oh my God, he's not going to be walking anytime soon. I had kind of a very tight, small budget for this film. So to make it make sense, I was only going to spend 12 months working on it. And then I got kind of blindsided by the fact that Paul misled me. And I was like, so I kind of shot everything I could at that time. And Paul was really doing nothing. He was spending his days on social media and watching TV. He'd go to the pub for like 1 pint and then take the cab back home. And there was no action for me to shoot. And I didn't really want to make a film that was just kind of archival footage and people and talking heads, And so Paul kept missing appointments, which was a huge no-no with the national healthcare system in England. Yes, it's free, but if you screw up, you go to the back of the queue. And missing
appointments for his health, for checkups and stuff.
Yeah. And so a couple years into the project, Paul's health had delayed things so much that I hadn't been able to shoot much. And doctors had started one of those knee replacements. They had taken out the knee and then put in what he said was a spacer, medical cement. And but he was never healthy enough for them to complete that operation. And his blood work was never in line for what the regulations in England require. So he was just getting worse and worse. His leg had ballooned to the size of like an elephant's trunk. And
what was it? Let me just stop you there real quick. Yeah. What was the actual cause of that? Like, what was the start of all his
neglect?
Health?
I think it was neglect. Because,
but did he have anything actually diagnosed wrong with him?
I don't know about that.
Was he diabetic or what?
No, he wasn't diabetic. Yeah. So the guys in the Killers band, they would tell me that they started to see in the 90s when Paul lived in New York in the 90s, he would limp a little walking down the street, and they're like, oh, you got to get this checked out. And then that evolved into him using a cane. And then that evolved into him not being able to stand at all. And his lower legs kind of sliding behind his upper legs, as you see in the film. And when I first met him, he could not extend his legs, either one of them. It was terrible.
I'm just thinking, I only met him once.
Yeah.
I saw Maiden with Paul Di'Anno.
Yeah.
You probably didn't. You're young.
I was hoping this might come up because I wanted to tell you just a little nerd thing. I don't know if you caught it, but the ad for your show is in the film.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's flashed really quickly with a bunch of other little. I think it's John Shear Presents.
Yeah. Well, he was the promoter in Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was at the in Asbury Park.
That's it.
At Convention Hall. Mm-hmm. Priest was on Point of Entry. Maiden was on Killers.
Incredible.
My dad took me, 81. I've told the story many times. I wasn't driving yet. My dad waited for me outside for me to come out on the boardwalk in Asbury Park. And Priest closed, so Halford came out on the bike.
Wow.
And my dad, I'll never forget, my dad was waiting for me out on the boardwalk to come out of the building. And he because I was by myself. And he goes to me, I thought you said you were going to a concert in there. And I go, yeah, I was. He goes, what the hell is I hearing motorcycles and stuff? A motorcycle show or
it's
something?
Like motocross.
No, Dad, the singer in Judas Priest, he comes out on a motorcycle. He's like, oh, all right, get in the car, let's go. But yeah, there was the one time I saw Maiden on Killers, and then I met him. I had him on that metal show.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I forgot that.
Yeah, he was on with us. I'll never forget this. It was, so when we started doing that show in 2008 was the first season. And the first 2 seasons we shot in New York City.
Right.
And then the middle 10 seasons were LA, and the last season ended up being back in New York. But I remember, so it would have been around 2008, 09. And he was playing, I think, at BB King's or something.
Yeah.
And we always had this battle with the network because they didn't really understand any of these people or who these people were. So we're like, no, this guy was in Iron Maiden. We got to get him on. I remember me, Don, and Jim fighting the network to get him to sit, to have him be a guest. And I remember he couldn't come during the window we were actually shooting the show because he had his gig. So he came earlier in the day and we recorded a segment, and it's out there somewhere because it aired. And we had these bleachers in the audience, and me, Don, Jim, and Paul sat on the bleachers, and we talked to him for like 5-10 minutes, and we cut it into the show.
That's so cool.
And I'm trying to remember now, because you were saying that in 2017, he was already in a chair for 10 years.
No, like 7 years. About 7.5 years, I think, at that point.
So he probably, because when he showed up at the studio, I don't recall him being in a chair. So that might have just, might have been just before. But I do remember, because we all sat in these bleachers and sat around and talked, I do remember that we got to help him get into the bleachers a little bit.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's so interesting. Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, so you have COVID comes, and then I'm assuming that stops everything.
Okay, so yeah, these medical delays just were delaying the film left and right, and I couldn't afford to keep going back to England in the event something might happen. So I was hiring shooters to shoot when he'd have a big appointment, and all those appointments kind of amounted to nothing. And so in the middle of the pandemic, Paul's health had gotten really bad. His leg had gotten huge, and you have to understand, he doesn't have a knee, so he can't even kind of lift his leg, and he's in terrible shape. And in 2017, I set up the drummer from the band The Jam. Around that time was doing these events in England called a Pint and Chat. So you
the Paul Weller Jam,
yeah,
really? Okay.
Rick Buckler.
Okay,
I think he passed away recently, R.I.P. And he was doing these events where you could come and get your album signed, pay £10 and get your picture taken with him, and And so I was like, wow, that's a really interesting idea. That's shocking that a lot of people don't do that, especially people like Rick, who has been kind of pushed out of the Jam. He doesn't have like an ongoing music career. And so I called up the Cart and Horses, the birthplace of Iron Maiden pub in London, and I asked if they would be willing to host an event with Paul, like a chat and pint event. And, Maiden fans would kill for an opportunity to get their record signed. And so that you've seen that in the film,
right.
That's kind of strung through the film. Well, that day he met the guy who runs the Cart and Horses, a guy by the name of Castro. Castro had kept in touch with Paul over the years, so those 4 years, and he was just, he's a great human being, and he was just like, what can we do to help Paul? And so he started a crowdfunding campaign, and it was about, I think it was about 13,000 pounds that was raised. Not a lot, but enough where, because Paul had gotten to a state where doctors would not greenlight an additional surgery, they wouldn't finish the knee surgery in England, and he was just getting worse and worse. They decided to take him out of the country where he could get world-class healthcare, but make that money stretch. Mm-hmm. And that's how he ends up in Croatia, and where a large part of my film is based.
So this had to, these delays and then moving to Croatia, mm-hmm. budget-wise, did that kill you as far as?
I have to tell you, I mean, Croatia is really cheap. At least it was then. The flights was killing me financially, especially in the summertime. But in the winter, I could get there for about $1,000, and the hotels cost nothing. Cabs cost nothing, like $1, to go across town, And so, yeah, I mean, I was just kind of on a real kind of tight budget. But once he got to Croatia, as you saw in the film, some amazing things start to happen, and Paul starts to transform. I was telling somebody yesterday, because I shot this and I knew Paul over 9 years, I saw many transformations from bad to good, from and then back to bad again.
In terms of his demeanor or his health, or both?
His health. I mean, his demeanor was up and down depending on the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you first connect with him and pitch the idea of doing a documentary? Was he immediately receptive to having his life covered at that point?
Yeah, see, I didn't even have to do that because Matt at Cleopatra called me up. He was friends for 30 years with Cliff from Killers, the guitar player in Killers. Okay. And they all used to drink and party in the clubs in the city in the 90s. And they had just thought to themselves, wow, Deano is such a character. It would be an interesting film. And they were thinking about how Paul could spin these yarns, and he was kind of like, he was kind of clownish in some ways. And I think they were thinking of more of a comedic kind of film. And that also told his history. And so they reached out to Paul. Cliff was sort of kind of de facto manager at that time. And yeah, he was open to it. As he says in the film, and a lot of people, one of the reasons why they like Paul is that he had that punk edge. And I said to him at one point, I said, I want to make a punk rock film. And what I mean by that is it has like a punk rock ethos, sort of, I want to be completely vulnerable. I want you to be completely open. And he lit up just because that appealed to him, and it might have been even like a childlike kind of connection to the use of the word punk, but
was he a fan of punk?
Oh, huge.
Was he?
Yeah. And it's funny, early in the film, you can see he has a Ramones tattoo on his bad leg. And by the time he gets to Croatia, that has disappeared. The leg had gotten so bad that the tattoo disappeared.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because he was always, he brought something so different to Iron Maiden because he did have that look that was kind of punk. Mm-hmm. And I also thought it was really good too, because it really, I think in some ways, look, most Maiden fans, hardcore Maiden fans that were there since day one, like myself, and I'm assuming were you a fan from?
No, man. And I know you're gonna roast me a little for this. My entry point was Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Well, no, you're younger. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 52.
Okay, well, you're almost 10 years younger than me, so that's not crazy. No, I get that.
I mean, I used to watch Headbangers Ball, and I knew the older songs, the hits, if you can call them that, Run to the Hills video. I knew that stuff, but I didn't know anything about Di'Anno.
But I was going to say, were you overall, are you a big Iron Maiden fan or not really?
Yeah, I love it.
You are now.
Yeah.
But so you got in at Seventh Son, and then did you like Killers in the first album, or you were like...
I never went back to them.
Oh.
I never went to the Paul stuff because I just, I knew that Bruce wasn't on those records, and I just kind of, it's like, no offense to Neil, who I was hoping to interview for this film, but like I never went to the Anthrax stuff with Neil Turbin,
Right.
It's like, because I love Joey, he's my guy.
Right.
And so, I loved Bruce, and I knew the reputation, though. Paul was like a mythical figure. Even though he was still alive, he was kind of like this mythical figure. And that's really why I said yes. Because like I thought, here's an interesting story. I don't know that much about him, but he's mythic, right? So I want to dig into that. And then I just was gifted, with what happened in the film,
Yeah, I mean, among most old school metal fans, and you certainly reflect, and the people you talk to in the movie certainly reflect this. You got Hetfield in there, and all these major guys talking about it, who are all around my age, all talking about how important those first two records are. And there is a contingency of Maiden fans that is their favorite Iron Maiden is the two Di'Anno records.
Yeah,
I mean, most people, you have to be out of your mind to not know that Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind are incredible records. Obviously.
Yeah.
And Bruce is incredible and still is incredible,
unbelievable,
without a doubt. Yeah. But there is a certain attitude and vibe, largely because of how raw the music was, and because of Paul, because what Paul was doing, and vocally in his presence. I mean, he looked so different than what you would expect a metal singer at that time, with the short hair. But you always heard that he was, that maybe he was coming from a punk place, but then at times I think Maiden and Steve Harris tried to downplay that a little bit, who knows, maybe that led to some of the division of him, ultimately being out of the band. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, he listened to all kinds of music. Two bands that he listened to every day at physical therapy were Metallica and Depeche Mode.
Wow.
And you mentioned Hetfield. When I did that interview with Hetfield, it was kind of an amazing experience. It was at the Pittsburgh Pirate Stadium, which is like a beautiful ballpark. And I told Paul to keep his phone near him, like around 3 o'clock when I was supposed to talk to Hetfield. And I was hoping to put them on the phone together. And I only had 20 minutes with James, so I wasn't able to do it. But and I regret that, because they never had a chance to speak. But Di'Anno was a massive Metallica fan.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, those records were so unbelievably influential and important to so many people. And I think you did a good job at getting that across too. To people who might just be like, oh, it's an Iron Maiden thing, I got to watch it. And maybe younger people that don't really know the impact of Paul in those records.
Yeah.
Do you think he realized the impact those records made on people?
Oh, for sure.
He did.
Yeah. I mean, because like everywhere I went, there would be people like freaking out because, I posted this thing on my Instagram the other day, this moment with this Brazilian fan. At the end of the film, I go with Paul to Brazil, and this is like this huge moment for him. He had been dying to get back to Brazil for like a decade. And and we were in the town of Brasilia, and the show was over, and I'm standing back by the van that he's going to leave in. And there's this fan, and his dad was an Iron Maiden fan, and he became an Iron Maiden fan because of his dad. And he's just, I posted this little video. It's not actually in the film. And he's just going, he's right there. And this is a teenage kid. And he's going, he's right there. Tears in his eyes. Like, that's the impact in Brazil, Even Paul, not Bruce, even Paul had that impact in Brazil and different parts of the world. I mean, there's one of my favorite moments just happened spontaneously when Paul goes to reunite with Steve Harris, and it's the weirdest thing, Eddie. There's this arena in Zagreb, and there's these like bleachers that surround the arena. It's kind of a cool thing, kind of like if you were to meet, it's like their version of meeting at Ace, meet on the steps, around the arena before the show. But you can see underneath the steps who's pulling into the arena, the artists, the buses.
Oh, that's in the film.
Yeah. And then these fans see him and freak out. And I told them to run by security. And I have this incredible moment because of it. They just ran right by security to hug him, Yeah. I mean, that's he definitely knew the impact. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so you start in 2017. When did you wrap filming?
2023 in February 2023.
And when you wrapped, did you have any sense that he was not going to make it?
None at all. It's funny. You guys are probably thinking 2023. Well, what's taking it so long to come out? I really feel for you when you're talking about your anniversary show, because that was another year waiting for a publishing company to respond to my email or my phone call for months.
Well, waiting, you do have a good amount of Maiden music in there.
That's all because of them. Bless them.
The band.
Yeah.
The band signed off.
The band made that happen. Yeah. Because the people that control it weren't even calling me back. I'm like, I'm trying to finish. The film is done. I just need this paperwork sorted,
Yeah, people do not realize how unbelievably difficult it is to clear music, sync rights, publishing. A lot of times the problem is the artists themselves don't even own it anymore. Yeah. So even if they want to do you a favor, they can't because they sold it. That's why, my concert videos is going to just end up on YouTube because that's the only way I can do it. And there's a documentary being done on me right now.
I have to tell you, man, that upsets me on a massive level because, dude, I've been listening to you for 10 years. Why it never occurred to me to call you up and say, let's do a film. It drives me insane.
If you did, you would have done it because I just went with the first guy who had the idea.
Oh my God. I want to get my hands on those tapes you talk about.
Nothing against you, Jeremy, but I mean, didn't, the guy who's doing it, he had done one other movie. He did a documentary during COVID on a band called The Black Moods.
Yeah.
And he showed it to me and it was really cool. And it was done. I couldn't believe what he did it for, and he does everything himself. And he's like, I'd like to do something. I go, all right, take a swing. You want to do it? And
God bless him, because we all can't wait to see it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, he's editing maybe as we speak, so awesome. He's been working on it for a while. But to the point of the music, I'm not a singer in a band, but we do want some. My story is music. Yeah. We do need some songs. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult. And what some of the money that these people want, like I said to the guy who's trying to do the music, who's helping out with the music, I said, you know what? I said, for 43 years, I've been playing these people's music. Do me a goddamn solid and give me 30 seconds of a song.
Isn't that the truth?
I did nothing but support them. How about give me 30 seconds for a movie?
Isn't that the truth, man?
But the problem is, it's not theirs. Sometimes
a lot
it's
of times,
not theirs.
Yeah. Well, like Metallica can snap their fingers and give that to you,
which they are being super cool about. Something I need from them. Yes.
Yeah. I have to tell you, dealing with Metallica on the Lemmy film and on this film is so cool.
Yeah,
there's just people. The whole organization,
class, top to bottom,
1,000%.
Great people. Yes.
Yeah.
Always there for the this community of people, and they never forget their roots. Ever.
Yeah.
So back to Di'Anno, you wrap in 23, mm-hmm. and when you wrap initial filming of this doc, you wrap feeling like he's going to rebound and things are on the upswing, or?
Well, it was Paul goes to Croatia, and his physical and mental turnaround is dramatic. He starts to look great. He's in good spirits. He gets engaged, and the last time I filmed with him there. It's funny. When I first met him, he kind of held me at arm's length. And a lot of the interview would be very, kind of like macho and braggadocious. And then, I guess one of the advantages of taking so long to do this, that last interview I did with him in Croatia, he's so real. And I love it. I love those sound bites. And so that's in November 2022. I didn't see him for 2 months, and in between those, during those 2 months, he went to Greece to play a couple gigs with Gus G, And I think they did both of the two Maiden records. And then he did a show, I think, in Germany. And then he was just going insane in the care homes in Croatia. So he wanted to go home. He wanted to go back to England. And of course, everybody can understand that. But when he went back to England, no one was looking after him. And when he got to Sao Paulo in January of 2023, he was, I saw that transformation, back to the bad Paul, to the struggling Paul. His leg looked terrible. His voice was a whisper. I was like, he's going on this massive Brazilian tour and he can barely speak. How's he going to do this? And then obviously you see in the film, the first show doesn't go well, but then they hired 2 nurses. And as soon as he got healthcare, things started to turn around really quickly,
Maiden's, as we mentioned, their music's in there.
Yeah.
You see Steve Harris in the film come in. I guess Paul went to a Maiden show.
That's right, yeah.
Tell everybody about that.
Okay, so when Castro and this guy Stefan from Croatia, who's a massive Maiden fan, he's written books about every Maiden album. And he lured Paul to Croatia. Come here, I'll take care of you. And so these 2 are his angels, right? And he's having dramatic turnarounds. Well, once that started to happen, my film took a huge step forward. And then like 2 additional steps forward were taken in May 2022 when Maiden was about to launch their first post-pandemic tour in Zagreb, of all places. So the hope was that Paul's here, Maiden's here, maybe they can come together. The night before, Stefan, who later became his manager, still manages his estate now, he set up Paul's first concert in about a decade. And Paul was incredible that night. At times, his falsetto sounded like Halford. And then he ended the show with a Sex Pistols cover, all snarling and very John Lydon. And so that was an incredible night. So that was the Saturday night. On the Sunday, he goes and reunites with Steve Harris. And there's that moment that people have seen online. And the funny thing about that is I didn't even have a pass. I was frantically trying to get a hold of Iron Maiden's management on that Sunday. And I don't know if they got my messages and they're just like, we don't want to deal with this, or if they didn't see him until Monday. But I snuck in with Paul. I snuck into the show.
Oh, wow.
And I was terrified I was going to get kicked out because, Steve has bodyguards so I was just kind of like hanging in the corner behind a couple people.
With a camera.
I had my camera in my bag, but I felt like if I took it out, then I would be booted. So I filmed that whole scene on my phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was not set up. They did not know that you were going to capture that on film, the interaction of Steve.
But I had to. This is a historic moment in Paul's life. I can't not be in that room. And so it was a real stressor for years whether they would be cool with it, And, I did show the film to them and they did give me their blessing. Back to that weekend, though, I just want to say the very next day, Paul had, by this point, had gone through all of his crowdfunding money. He was broke again, didn't know how he was going to pay for the surgery that his entire life had been leading up to. Like this massive surgery, it's going to cost £40,000. And without telling me, Stefan and Castro had gone to have a meeting with Steve Harris to ask him to pay for it. And, I could wring their necks for not inviting me to that. Of course, I probably wouldn't have been allowed, but they come back and I'm with Paul at physical therapy and they tell him that Steve's agreed to pay for the surgery. And Paul starts breaking down crying. And I was telling somebody this last night. That to me is right there in that moment. I'm kind of like making the sign of the frame. I have that frame burned into my eyes. That's the heart of the film right there. When 2 guys wearing Iron Maiden t-shirts are changing the life of their hero, and he starts crying. And these 2 guys with Iron Maiden shirts put their hand on him and console him and hug him.
Yeah. It's an amazingly heavy moment. It really is. And Maiden, so Maiden helped out with the music. Steve signed off on you putting that shot in there.
Yeah.
But they did not. I'm assuming you wanted to get them to actually sit for interviews and they wouldn't do it.
It was the first thing I did. Once I signed a contract to make the film, I set up a call with Rod and Dave Shack, and they were incredibly cool. Rod was incredibly nice to me, complimenting the Lemmy film. But he's like, Wes, we love what you do, but we're not going to be involved in this, And I was like, my heart's broken. But before I hung up, they said that they would let me license video and music. And that was back in 2017. Years would go by before I had actually, send that email and ask them to go ahead and let me do that, But not only did they say yes to that, but the day, so Paul died and Maiden was on tour in America and they had the day off that day. The next day they played, and I only realized this recently, how beautiful this is. They played in St. Paul the next day.
Wow.
I don't think anybody has ever really kind of pointed that out.
Yeah.
That moment of silence, which is unheard of for a Maiden show, for them to break from what they do every night, to have this moment of silence. And it's in St. Paul. And so the next morning I got a call from Dave Shack and Iron Maiden's management, and they said, we want to give you that footage.
Yeah.
And
which is in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was incredibly cool too, that they did that. And what Bruce said. What Bruce said was so spot on.
Yeah.
Why do you think they didn't want to sit for it? Do you think because they got the Burning Ambition, their own doc coming out?
No, this is years before Burning Ambition is even dreamt of. That's another regret I have. I heard Steve on the boat talking to you on this radio show about how he'd be open to doing a documentary. And then Alakazam in a year, we start to hear about Burning Ambition. And I'm like, fuck. That's another thing I slept on.
Well, you can do the sequels.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I think it was, they had just had enough of Paul's shit. So there was so much bad blood, probably. I mean, not on their part. They Steve has been incredibly cool. Like, I think a couple of years ago, Deano referred to Steve as a Nazi or something. Yeah. And somebody in like Classic Rock magazine or something asked Steve about it, and he just laughed. He's like, that's Paul being Paul.
Yeah.
Like, they were so cool about it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it broke my heart a little, because I know that Rod remembers the day that Paul left the band very well. And imagine having him in my film talking about that.
Yeah. We're talking with Wes Orshoski. He's made the Paul Di'Anno documentary, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I got to do a quick break, and I can't believe how much time has flown by here. And I actually only have about 20 minutes left to go on the show. And there's a few big things I got to ask Wes about. First and foremost, how people can see this. But before we do all that, let me get a quick break in. Going to go grab Wes a drink, and we're going to come back. If time permits, I'm going to try to squeeze in a call or two for him. But there's a bunch of other stuff about this phenomenal documentary. And most importantly, for you guys listening, stand by, because we'll find out all the ways you can see it as well right after the break. And of course, I have to ask Wes about The Scene. Was the only thing I had to turn away from. I literally had to turn away from, and I will never hear Murders in the Rue Morgue the same way again. We don't know what I'm talking about. We will get to that as well right after this break on Trunk Nation. We'll be right back.
And now more hard and heavy conversation.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, you can do that? That's something you can do? With host Eddie Trunk.
Hell yeah, Eddie Trunk, man.
SiriusXM Faction Talk.
It's amazing.
All right, I'm glad Wes got here early, because there's so much I want to talk to him about, but we're kind of running quickly out of show here. So let me get to the really important things. First of all, there is a scene in the Paul Di'Anno documentary that is unbelievable. As we've talked about, Paul Di'Anno went through a lot of health issues, and his legs blew up. Did they get to the bottom of what caused his legs to be like that?
God, I think it was neglect. It was neglect. And, but then the reason why they were getting so big is lymphedema,
Which is what?
It's a problem with the lymph nodes where, there's like too much fluid in your in a part of your body.
So when you see this documentary, you will see that Paul Di'Anno is at times immobile. He has to kind of be moved and put in the back of a van in a certain way. He can only sit a certain way. It's terrible. But then they do a surgery. It was in Croatia, right? Mm-hmm. The fans fund a surgery for him.
Yeah, well, actually, Maiden paid for that.
Maiden paid for that surgery. And they work on his knees. And Wes, you show the surgery in graphic detail.
Right.
While Murders in the Rue Morgue is playing in the background. But you get in there with the camera and you see this man's knees and legs being ripped open and torn apart. I can take a lot, but I looked away a couple times at that. It was so unbelievable. As a director, how did you talk to Paul about that in advance? Did the doctor sign off on it? Why did you want to do that?
Because his whole life was kind of leading up to it. It was this whole, ever since I started the film, it was all about the surgery. It was all about getting him better. And this was the central kind of thing in his life, the need for that surgery. And again, we kind of spoke about being kind of like limitless and being very punk rock and how we made this film and being extremely vulnerable. And, when there's a couple things that kind of really inspired me when I made this film, I think tonally, and I guess in terms of this scene. There was a film about the lead singer of Pentagram that came out a few years ago.
Liebling.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable. He's like doing drugs in his basement.
Don Argot did that.
Yeah.
And Demian, I know those guys.
And so I was kind of, in terms of the darkness that you were going to see in the Di'Anno film, I thought, now here's these guys. Here are a couple guys who were able to make that work. So that kind of inspired me. And then in terms of the surgery, do you remember the band from the 80s, The Alarm?
Of course.
There's a film that was on the BBC about Mike Peters and his wife. And I saw it and I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Was it about his cancer battle?
Well, they both had cancer.
Yeah.
And she had her breast removed on camera, and I had never seen anything like that.
Oh, I didn't know that. They showed it?
It is unbelievable. And there's just a hole in her chest. And they showed that. And I think I just sat there like you probably sat there during the Di'Anno film, just like my jaw on the floor. And now Mike Peters' wife is one thing. But Paul Di'Anno, like a bona fide rock hero, like I don't know of another rock documentary that has gone there with somebody who's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's going to be, and so yeah, I didn't really, it's funny. Somebody asked me recently, did you need to include that? And man, there was no doubt in my mind, like that had to be in there.
Well, I thought I couldn't. Like it's so raw in more ways than one. What's happening? It just was hard for me to look at to see happen.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you did because it shows you really what he was going through. And it was almost like, in some ways, putting a Maiden song under it almost kind of softened it a little bit in some way.
I guess so, yeah.
I'm not sure because I'm like, oh, I love this song and I'm pumped up for the song. But then I'm watching a man's but he's unconscious, obviously. It's professionally being done. But to see it just hit me on so many levels from what he was going through to what these doctors and surgeons do for us that we don't ever really see if you have a surgery.
See, I think it's fascinating.
It is, but it's hard. It was, I might have been eating a sandwich or something at the time. It was hard for me to look at,
Eddie,
man.
I've been wanting you to see this film for the longest time, and that was my biggest worry. I was worried that you're going to see that film and say, I do not like this film.
No, no, the opposite.
Or see that scene, rather. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was a ballsy decision. And he was obviously okay, and the surgeons were okay.
Both of them were cool with it, yeah.
Did Paul watch it back?
He never saw it, no.
Did Paul ever see the movie?
He did not.
He did not?
No, and it's funny because I've talked to his friends about it, and they keep telling me, I don't even think he would have watched it. I don't think he cared. I've said this a couple times, but Paul was kind of, in terms of this film, the only thing he cared about was that it might lead to more shows, more opportunities to tour, and more connection with the fans. Because that, you see it in the film, in the very late in the film, you see him playing in Sao Paulo, and during that gig, He's sweating profusely. He's a bald guy, sweat, rolling down his bald head, and he can kind of hide tears. He's not the stiff upper lip English guy. He was an emotional guy. And on stage many times that night, he was crying. Sometimes people didn't even know because it was mixed with sweat. But a couple times he put his hand in his head, and it was like, he was so happy after all this strife in his life. He probably never thought he was ever going to be there again, and here he is in Brazil, his favorite place, playing to these fans, his favorite fans, maybe, and, my words, not his, but sorry.
The film's an amazing roller coaster, man. It conjures up all kinds of emotions, and if you're a Maiden fan, it's something that's going to strike you. But even if you're not, like, even if you just want to watch, even if you don't know a thing about Paul Di'Anno or Iron Maiden, and you watch this and you just want to watch a story of what this guy has gone through in his life, because I say all the time on the air, there are rock fans out there to this day that they think that if you were ever in a band like Iron Maiden and you made a couple records and you were in Maiden, huge band, that you're set for life, that you are like a rock star for life. You live in a castle with servants and your own planes. And people don't understand there's a whole nother side to it for these guys. And that's why I said in some ways it reminded me a little bit of the Anvil movie in that you were willing to go, like they were willing to go there and show them playing to 3 people in a club or lip serving school lunches for his real job.
Right.
You saw that the struggles Paul had, whether they be financial, whether they be his health or whatever. But at the end of the day, he was a very, very loved figure. And then these fans come and help him out. But it was just, it was incredibly moving on a lot of levels. And I just thought you did an amazing job with it. And I really want, before we run out of time, tell people how they can see this now, because John Bush made a post today, because I guess he saw it in a theater, right?
Yeah, he was at the screening last night in LA. Very honored that he was there. You can buy it or rent it on like Prime and Apple, and I think Cleopatra wants everybody to go to the Cleopatra site to buy the Blu-ray or the DVD.
So there is a physical.
Yeah,
okay,
and
good.
You can get it on Amazon as well, and there's a bonus edition coming out in a couple of weeks with the live record from Zagreb, the entire concert.
Okay, so but because a lot of people in my audience actually still want physical stuff and care about
Maiden fans do.
Yeah, all the time. Ask for a Blu-ray or a DVD or whatever. So you do have it physically available. Okay, but it's in theaters now as well, still in some theaters?
There's a couple screenings. There's a screening on Saturday at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, and there's going to be a few more film festival screenings. There's a few more screenings in England, but I think they're really kind of focusing on the physical product right now and the downloads and the digital streaming.
And you said Amazon and Apple?
Amazon and Apple, yeah. You can rent it or buy it, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's going to hit streaming platforms, one of them in the fall, I think,
What has been the overall reaction now that some people have seen it overall? I mean, what are you hearing?
Well, I mean, your reaction blew me away, and it meant a lot to me, Well,
I love documentaries.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love documentaries, period. No matter, I'm watching one on anything.
I know.
But then if it's music related, I'm really into it. And if it's rock, metal related, I'm really, really into it.
That's your sweet spot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm super, but having seen what you did with the Lemmy doc, I mean, I knew it was going to be good and you killed it. It was great.
Thanks. I didn't know what people would think. I just like these moments were happening. Paul reunites with Steve. These fans come in, the moment where these 2 Iron Maiden fans have found the money for him from Steve. Like I didn't make the movie for anybody but Maiden and metal and Di'Anno fans, really. And it's weird that I have people telling me that they're not into any of those things and they're enjoying the film. It's usually, the girl dragged to the screening with the guy in the Iron Maiden shirt, but, I mean, like it wasn't made for them, it's like, I didn't want to like have to kind of like hold people's hands and explain everything about Iron Maiden and Paul Di'Anno and making this film. So I just kind of assumed if you've pressed play that you kind of, who these people are.
And that's the other comparison that I would make to the Anvil doc, because the Anvil doc was, I know a ton of people that love that film that couldn't tell you one song from Anvil and didn't know at all.
That's me.
They loved the story and how real it was, and a good friend of mine made that movie, Sasha.
Yeah,
and he's done tons of other stuff, but that's still a big thing for him. And it's also why, and I've talked to him and the band about this. It's also the two-edged sword of that. It's also why I think Anvil didn't get the bump into they're still touring, but they're still doing clubs. It didn't, as successful as that movie was, it didn't all of a sudden they're in theaters or bigger venues.
Right.
Because I think there was a ton of people who loved the movie and the story, but didn't know or care about the band and would never go and put that music on and listen to that music.
It's kind of like what you say about the Rock Hall. You'll notice a bump for a period of time, and then it fades.
Yeah. And it's so there's two different things, but obviously with Di'Anno, with the metal community, they know Paul and they know those Maiden records so much more.
Yeah.
But same thing with Anvil. If you were really into metal, you knew who they were, but it was more about the storytelling and the reality and pulling that curtain back. And you certainly did that. And I'm glad that he allowed you all that access too.
Me too. I mean, I'm incredibly fortunate and just full of gratitude that I got to have those experiences with Paul and because of Paul.
Yeah. Before we run out of time, a minute or two left, what's next?
I'm working on a film right now, finishing it up, actually. A friend of mine, his cousin, was one of the members of the funk soul group, the Bar-Kays, who died with Otis Redding in the 1967 plane crash that killed Otis. We've been kind of telling people that it's kind of the most famous plane crash that nobody knows anything about in music history. And so we've been telling the story about these young guys who passed away, these young kind of phenoms. And, it's my first film that I've made about an American group. And the film focuses on my friend Adam going on this quest to remember his cousin and his bandmates,
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And the Lemmy doc is still out there. Can people still see it somewhere?
Yeah. I think so. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you.
It's probably somewhere out there.
Yeah. You can still buy it physically. Megaforce, still controls it in North America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those what year did the Lemmy doc come out?
2010.
Oh my God. 16 years ago already. Yeah. That is crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
It is totally crazy. So if for those that did not see that, my gosh, go see that as well. One of Wes's other films. And again, Paul Di'Anno documentary, as you just heard, out there on those streaming platforms. You can get it physically through Cleopatra, order it on their website if you want a Blu-ray or whatever. And phenomenal work, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I loved it. I thought it was great. Time just blew by here, everybody. So didn't have a chance to grab phone calls, but again, most importantly, getting the word out on this film is what we wanted to do, because it's really something I know everybody in my audience who loves Iron Maiden is going to love this. And obviously we all love Di'Anno and miss him. And unfortunately he did not make it to see the movie, but it's a hell of a story, so be sure to check it out. All right, so like I told you at the top of the show, I am taking the next 2 days off. You're going to get best of shows, very Rush-centric as we celebrate the return of Rush. Tomorrow, Hugh Syme, their album cover artist, and then on Friday, it'll be a throwdown between All the World's a Stage and Exit Stage Left. I am taking these 2 days off because I'm going to L.A. to see Rush. I'll report back with you guys on Monday. I'll be live on Monday at 3 o'clock Eastern. I'll recap Rush. Also, if you're in the Chicago area, hope to see you Saturday at the Arcada for Lights Out. All right, you guys, enjoy those best ofs and that all the Rush stuff coming your way next 2 days. And I will connect with you all back live on Monday. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.